Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to take 1133 of my message to you today. I'm checking in today because Soaring Spirits needs the help of our widowed community. Many of you may remember that in 2012, Dr. Carrie West with Schreiner University created a survey for widowed men and women that had two purposes. The first was to help determine what programmatic elements of any program would increase the life satisfaction for widowed men and women. I know that seems maybe like an odd thing to study, life satisfaction, but our lives have been completely turned upside down once your spouse or partner dies. And so how can we increase the satisfaction in your daily life for widowed men and women? The second part of the survey was to determine whether or not Soaring Spirits programs were making a difference in that way. So it's been a couple of years, and we've decided that it's time to update our survey and also to expand the parameters of what we're looking for, what questions we're asking widowed men and women. So I want you to bear with me, if you will, because I'm going to read some of this. Dr. West has sent me a great summary of what our purpose is in this new survey. We're building a collection of information about grief specifically tailored and updated for all ages of widows and widowers. And we're not just looking for the absence of mental or physical illness. We're considering how to help the whole person, which is so perfect for the mission of Soaring Spirits. We want to know how to help the whole person as they figure out how to move forward with their life, their work, and relationships, and navigate what can be the complicated relationships with all of the people in their lives, living and dead. Finally, we're shifting the idea of resilience by asking those who have been widowed to help us define what resilience looks like after losing a spouse or partner, rather than imposing other people's ideas from other contexts, which is just such a cool thing to be able to say to widowed people, what does resilience look like to you, and to help us not only determine that, but then to measure it. Secondly, we're developing a tool to access resilience, but doing it from the bottom up. A gold standard for this doesn't exist. A gold standard for measuring this doesn't exist for resilience, and there is nothing specifically for bereaved spouses or partners. So in that way, we're doing two things differently. The first thing is when we talk about resilience, we're talking about how they meaning us, the widowed people, are actually adapting and bouncing back rather than if we have the capacity to do so. Secondly, rather than using a more generic resilience scale, we're creating one, so awesome, combining questions that address what we know and what we're learning about bereavement and resilience, and what widows and widowers identify as their goals. So rather than someone else setting a goal for us, we determine what our goal is. If someone were to say to you, what would be your measure of success in recreating your life after this life-altering loss? What would you say? And these questions are designed to help us determine what that is. Most of the existing research about widowed people is about deficits. This makes so much sense to me. Depression, PTSD, complicated grief, physical illness, etc. But we're trying to find the strengths, the paths to hope, the effects of hope, who we are before our partner died, and then how that impacts the way we process our loss. Also, how that changed people who have experienced this loss, both for the better and for the worse, change their quality of life and change the relationships in their life. Lastly, we want to know, how are they coping? How are we coping mentally, physically, emotionally? What seems to be working? Do some individuals with particular personality traits respond better to one strategy than another? It would be really cool to know that. So what we're asking for is your help in order to gather this information, which has been created by Dr. West once again and her team at Schreiner University. We need people to answer the survey. Last time, 900 of you stepped up, and we would love for thousands, because most surveys are based on such a small sampling, less than 100 people, and we would love to be able to say thousands of widowed people said this, fill in the blank, and Dr. West and her team are going to be able to pull out so much great information from this survey. It's easy. It takes 20 to 30 minutes. You can take breaks. So if you have, just make sure you use the same computer and you'll be able to take breaks. You can help us by telling us what you need. You can help us by telling us what works, what doesn't work. I want to remind you that Soaring Spirits uses the most broad definition of the word widowed. If the person you intended to spend the rest of your life with died, we consider you to be widowed. And secondly, anybody can take this survey. It does not need to be someone who has experienced any of Soaring Spirits programs. So please feel free to share this with any widowed person in your life, because the idea, once again, is to gather as much data from as diverse a pool of people as possible. As we all know, death doesn't discriminate. In my experience, the widowed community is one of the most diverse communities I've ever experienced. Forgive the fumbling of the video, and know that your time is going to be well spent if you would be willing to give us 20 to 30 minutes of your time in being able to impact the world for widowed people who come after us. I thank you so much for the trust that you put in Soaring Spirits, and I thank you so much for being a part of our community. I know that this is not a community that we would choose, but the fact that we exist and that together we have created such a beautiful and supportive community that crosses every border is a continual inspiration to me. So again, I thank you. You'll find the link to the survey in the comments below this video, and I'm looking so forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks so much. Have a great day.